This town we call home. Everyone hails at the pumpkin song. That must have been terrifying. My God. What is up, guys? It's Mega Man Chief Fan here. Welcome back to another video. And Jack Skellington is right there. He's going to be staring at us for the entire video because it's one of the two. It's Christmas. So anyway, I'm going to be doing my long overdue GobbleAthon update. I'm going to be making both this video and a wrap-up video on a Sunday or Monday. I don't know which one I'll have time for, but it'll be one of those 2 days. Probably Monday, because that's when it officially ends. So anyway, I'm going to get started. It's going to be good. It's going to be a fun old time. So anyway, let's get into it. Okay, I went crazy. These are all the books that I've read so far. I have fully read one book. I fully read 7 books and DNF'd 1 book. So, what did I say? Like, I read 7 and DNF'd 1. I don't know if I said that the second time, but whatever. So anyway, let's get started with my poetry collection option, Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. This is now my favorite poetry collection of all time. It just spoke to me in a way that no other poetry collection has done before. I read this in one sitting. It was absolutely fantastic. It was my first read of a GobbleAthon, and even though I'm starting with the first one that I read, I'm not going in order of how I read them. So, Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur is a fantastic poetry collection. I cannot recommend this enough, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book was a book I was expecting to love, but at the same time I wasn't surprised if I didn't like it, but I really liked it, but I just didn't love it. And that's a Kangaroo Notebook by Gobble. Gobble is much more famous for like The Woman in the Dunes and The Boxman, but this is like least well-known novel, and is one of his worst it's one of his worst novels in terms of critically, and if this is one of his worst ones, then I'm excited, because I still gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, because the ideas and the characters that Gobble presents to us is very interesting and very great. It's just that the story's very lacking, and the book can be pretty mean-spirited at times. Especially when he's, like, in the hospital and he's, like, going back and forth between the minds. And it's one of the most strange novels I've ever read as well. I would not recommend this to a broad audience, because it is definitely an acquired taste. So, I don't fully recommend this, but if this sounds like your thing, go ahead and read it. It's pretty good. Okay, the next book is probably my favorite book out of the TBR that I've read so far, and that is The Sound of Waves by Yukio Mishima. Now, Yukio Mishima has officially become one of my favorite authors. The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea was a fantastic book, don't get me wrong, but this one had just had so much better characters, had a lot better characters than The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, which was probably my only complaint with The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, was his characters were a little lacking in that one. Not at all about this one. This is about a fisherman named Shinji, like a young fisherman who falls in love with his wealthy daughter, like this daughter of a wealthy man named Hatsue, I think that's how you pronounce it. And they cause an uproar in the village because it's like a poor man falling in love with this rich girl. So it's complicated, but at the same time it's not. It's a very simple story with brilliant writing, fantastic characters, and while the story is very simple, it's a fluent and just great one. So I cannot recommend The Sound of Waves enough. It is a fantastic, fantastic book. The next book that I read was The Dinner of Herman Koch. This was a reread, and what have I not said about this book before? It's one of my personal favorites, and if you haven't read it, go check it out. I'm not going to waste any more time on this. You know what this is. I've said the premise multiple times on this channel, so I'm just going to leave it at that. It's still a 5 out of 5 for me. The next book that I read was Into Thin Air by John Crocker. Now, this was another one I was expecting to love, and while I did like it, I didn't love it, you know? It does take its sweet time to get started. John Crocker takes his sweet time, trying to explain things and why there's motives and stuff like that. And it got annoying, but once they start actually climbing the mountain, it gets epic. Like seriously, it gets so fantastic. But it took half the book to build up to that to the interesting part, if you say the least. So, honestly, I didn't love this, but I loved parts of it. So, John Crocker's Into Thin Air, I like this better than Into the Wild, but it still isn't, like, one of my personal favorites. And I think I'm done with John Crocker for now, unless if I see another book by him that's like, oh my god, I need to read that! So, anyway, the next book that I read was, The History of Love by Nicole Cross, and I just found out about something. This woman is married. Well, let me set that over there. This woman is married to Jonathan Safran Foer. If I'm correct, if I've heard things about that, but if that's correct, somebody tell me. But if she's married to Jonathan Safran Foer, I can definitely see, because this book was okay, but the style is so much reminiscent of something like Everything is Illuminated, like switching styles. And that's what I really liked about this book. But what I didn't like was the perspectives. One of the perspectives was fantastic. A young girl named Alma. She was very much like Oscar from Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. But the other perspective was very cliche, very generic. You've seen this type of personality multiple times before. It was about this, like, old man named Leo who's, like, this been-there-done-that author. And honestly, it just bored me. And whenever we got to his part, I would just kind of like, yeah, whatever. So I tried to read it as fast as possible. But once I got to Alma's parts, it was really in-depth. But the problem was there was more of Leo's parts than Alma's parts. So this book was just okay. I wouldn't recommend it, but at the same time, if this does sound... Wait, let me change that. If this sounds interesting to you, then read it. But if it doesn't, it won't do harm. No, it won't do any harm if you don't read this. So, The History of Love by Nicole Cross is just alright. The next book is the book that I DNF'd. Now, I know one of my best friends on BookTube, Kate, I'm sorry, I just couldn't get into this book. I got through the majority of Volume 2. Yeah, it's I Am a Cat by Natsume Saseki. I just couldn't get into this for the life of me. I got like 200 pages into this novel, and I just couldn't. I couldn't. Like, what I could pinpoint the exact point where I stopped. Volume 2, Chapter 4, page 224 was where I just quit. I just couldn't handle it anymore. It was just fantastic story, plagued with terrible, terrible writing. Like, it's so stiff that you feel like you broke a bone. Seriously, I cannot stress it enough how much I am disappointed with this book. I don't hate it, but I'm just disappointed with it. Like, it'd just be a waste of time getting through this thing. And for Readathon, I don't think this was good enough. So, I Am a Cat by Natsume Saseki. Not gonna read any more Saseki. He just doesn't interest me, especially after this. So, I Am a Cat. I'm not, because I am not a cat. And, the last book that I read so far is This Is Where It Ends by Marie Knizhkamp. It's good. It's good, but it gets touchy at some points. It, like, gets too real for you really often. So, this is a fantastic story with really good characters, but bad writing. I will be honest. But not bad writing, but more like a bad style of writing. Because the story is well structured, and the characters are well structured. It's just, my god, her writing's so generic. You've seen it before. But does that make this book bad? No. In fact, it is still a pretty good book. Pretty good book. But I know Peter hates this book. Like, he would consider this I think he's actually considering this, or what was the other book that he hated? Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, that's it. He considered those two the worst books he's read all year. And honestly, I don't get the hate for this one, because this was actually pretty good. So this is about a school shooting, and I literally, even though it's pretty lengthy, it's almost 300 pages. For a book that I read in one sitting, it's actually pretty lengthy. Yes, I read this in one sitting. Showing off, people, I'm showing off. But This Is Where It Ends. Very well-structured characters. I really like the Sylvia and Autumn. I really like those two characters a lot in this book. Just because of their relationship with each other. Just really set the tone and gave the book another layer. And for YA, I was impressed by how much I liked this because people kept hating on this book. It has like a 3.6 average on Goodreads out of like 15,000 ratings. It was good. I don't know why people hate this so much. Maybe because the characters aren't for everybody and the writing style is pretty generic. But it's a fantastic story. I like the characters. I say I like this book, even though at first I didn't like this book. But it did eventually become good, even though, warning, the ending isn't good. Ugh. So those are the books that I've read so far. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 books. I originally had them, this book in the pile, Confessions by Kane Minato. But, I did technically read this, but I read it a little before BookTubeathon and then stopped and then just forced my way through it on after I got through my initial TBR, so this book was bad, so just warning you guys there. But next, I'm going to be talking about books that I'm going to be reading next. So that isn't all, guys. This is probably going to be just a book rant with the GobbleAthon update. So anyway, let's get into it with The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. Why do people hate this book so much? Like, I don't know, I haven't read the thing yet, but the premise is amazing. I swear, the premise to this book is amazing. And I love the secret history, I just don't like the goldfinch at all. But The Little Friend is about this story about a boy who gets murdered and his sister, like, goes and, like, seeks out the killer with her best friend. Is it the most original concept in the world? No. Is it awesome? Yeah. It's just, it sounds awesome. And I've heard a couple good reviews from people that I trust, so I'm gonna give this a shot. And I also loved The Marriage Plot by Jeffrey Eugenides, which has the same reputation, so yeah, I'm gonna give this one a shot. So don't be shocked if I actually end up loving The Little Friend. Alright, the next book that I'm going to be reading is Let's Pretend This Never Happened, a mostly true memoir by Jenny Lawson. And now let me just say, I love this cover. This is pretty much just like a series of series of true stories about Jenny Lawson and her father, who was a taxidermy, and it just gets insane. I've heard it's hilarious. Literally, Augustin Burroughs bored this saying, even when I was funny, I wasn't this funny. Oh my god, that's such an Augustin Burroughs thing to say. But yeah, let's pretend this never happened. I really have nothing else to say about this, but I'm really wanting to get into more humorous, and I'm giving, like, David Sedaris another try. I'm reading a lot more, Augustin Burroughs. I have, like, what's that one guy's name? My dad really likes him. Okay, that was, like, an alarm, but, anyway, Let's Pretend This Never Happened, a mostly true memoir. Really excited about this. Really, really excited about this. And the last book that I'm going to show off, Peter, if you're hating me for liking them, this is where it ends. You'll probably make it up here because I'm going to be reading Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuval, which he considers his favorite book of this year. He absolutely adored this book so much that I had to read it. I originally had this on hold right when it came out, but I decided, wait a little bit. You're going to eventually see it laying on the shelves, and that's what happened. Just a month after I said that, I found it lying on the shelves. Or 2 months. Yeah, it's been 2 months. But it sounds fantastic. It's about, like, this girl who finds, like, this giant robot hand. And this is going to be a series, so I'm going to be excited. If I end up liking this, I'll definitely continue on with the series. So, Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuval. It sounds very good. Let me just say that. It sounds very good. So that was the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below on what you guys thought about this little rant of mine. And I will be uploading another video this weekend, probably, along with the wrap-up. Probably like an unhaul, because I have this, like, footage. I have the footage. I just haven't edited it. It's gonna be fun. So anyway, I'm Mega Man Chief Fan, and I'll see you later, guys.